Good evening, everyone. I am Sir, and welcome again to our Foxhole community stream. I am joined today by Duke Salt
Uh,
and Tiberius.
Hello.
So, we've got kind of an interesting one. We don't have as many people this time around, but we've got some really good stuff to share with you guys. There's some I don't know some controversial stuff going on as far as the updates. I know we had our first iteration of Sulfur, which is, it's Sulfur. Uh, what else have we had that just came out? The shy boxes, stuff like that.
yeah, the whole tunnel network.
Yeah. Tunnel networks, yes. Yeah. What's your guys' takes on before we jump into like the future stuff? What do you guys think about those changes now that we've had time to experience them fully?
I think the tunnel networks are like without a doubt the best addition, just because they solve so many problems and it just makes sense so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely slows down the pace of the game, and it allows for defensive builders and a proper front to be built with that aspect of the game, like slowing down.
It's also been kind of interesting because it's a target too, right? I mean, you take out the connecting tunnel network and you wait 10 minutes, and suddenly you can just walk by everything. But I think as Tiberius and I experienced on that one war, when that tunnel network gets reconnected, everything just comes right back.
Oh my god, it's terrifying. One second you're walking down the street, and the next second, like foxholes and pillboxes are just engaging you left and right. And you're like, all right, I guess I'm dead now. It's great.
It's especially great when you push up and you like build your outpost and all this other shit around it, and your logistics is just walking around, and then they reconnect the tunnel network across the bridge, and you just hear everything start shooting at once.
Yeah, yeah, it's always pretty brutal. When you're just completely, if you think you're safe, right? You know you're getting on about your day, and just bang! Oh my god, truck down! It's been pretty brutal. Um, but yeah, past that, we had the sulfur, which I know it's a love hate relationship, big time. 6 hour respawn time. What's up with that? Come on.
I'm not sure if it's 6 hours. That might be.
Yes, I think that's
hours.
an over exaggeration.
No,
I
that's
feel
confirmed.
like it's
That's confirmed. I got that confirmed from Markfoot.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Watch it turn out to be a troll. He's watching the stream right now. He's gonna be like, I made Stu like an idiot.
I mean, seriously, 6 hours. I don't know if that's right, or if the math is wrong or something, but it feels like a long time for very little. You got to hoard that stuff, and that's been an ongoing issue in the game. Has been, players realizing the value of sulfur and just logging off with it. So that's been just really brutal.
And new log off restriction. You can't be over encumbered.
Oh, is that a thing now?
No, I was just saying that would be a thing. But anyway,
yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be a good way of cutting down that. Although it is nice to be able to log off with stuff, but yeah,
I was just brainstorming this actually, and when we were talking about the sulfur nodes and how long it takes for them to finally like replenish, what if they were to implement a way to tell that the node was actually replenished on the map? So instead of having to drive around, you just look at the map and then you'd, I don't know, add like a marker next to it or something like that, stating that there are rocks there. Yeah, a mineable marker.
Thing to be able to put down like a watchtower within the radius of the sulfur, and that would keep you up to date on that. Like sulfur available. I think that'd take a lot of effort out of the guesswork.
Yeah.
Although I think just simply either massively reducing the timer or increasing the output of the sulfur alone would make it so much better. But because as it is now, if you like say there's enemy half tracks on the field and you're down to, fuck all sulfur, what are you gonna do? You can't make RPGs to combat the half tracks. You got do it a little bit differently. Meanwhile, sulfur doesn't really slow down anything else. You could still win the game without ever touching mortars or satchels. You just spam HE grenades. Simple. It's taken the focus off of the other stuff, but as a result, we've been seeing less variety.
I like the idea of Sulfur, like what it's meant to do. I think what really kills it, not kills it in a bad way, but like what kills an attack without Sulfur is when the enemy is well fortified and they're defending those fortifications, where it's like basically impossible to get up there without a mortar or artillery to start taking down tunnel networks or this and that and the other. If they're defending defenses, you're not going to have a good time with HE and smoke grenades. And as of right now, we've only really seen opportunities for that kind of stuff in the regular wars, not the community wars on the weekend.
Yeah, I would have to say I was in an engagement the other day on Fox 1 where we were pushing through the dark road up towards Light's End, and they had actually pushed us back. They had a couple half tracks that they kept switching into rotation, but they somehow managed to get a crap ton of smoke grenades and HE grenades out, and they just started hucking the smoke grenades, and with the half tracks pushing, they were able to just mow down all of our defenses. So I mean, the possibility of it happening without like a lot of people around is very slim, but I saw it happen firsthand, and it was terrifying because we had a lot of defenses up. We had AT turrets, we had shy boxes, and I mean, those were holding them at bay, but the second those smoke grenades came out, all of the defenses just crumbled. The walls broke down. I mean, we were able to upgrade a few walls, but a few hours after that FOB just collapsed.
It sounds like the only thing that would have held that back would be like a guy in a bunker with an HMG or something,
Even then, like, just walk up because the bunker's not firing. I mean, so you fire into the smoke, yeah, but you don't know where they are. Yeah, I mean, they were throwing a lot of smoke.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where especially the coordinated players, clans, and so on, they've learned, carry smoke around, just spam smoke. You don't even really need to have as many HE grenades as you think. If you can spam smoke, you're solid. But even then, you don't even need HE grenades. HMG has been incredible. Coming back to it, myself and Reef spent a good hour or two messing around in Depla during the war, and just two of us just dueling HMGs. We just would mow down through any foxhole that we come across, and if they're not supplemented, it's even easier without even needing HEs and smoke. You don't even have to be within range of the foxhole. You just go prone and boom, you shoot it and take it down. So it's been interesting that you don't even need half tracks for that as you used to. Of course, that's a little bit different if there are actually people paying attention to us, but there weren't. But we didn't even have half tracks that war. We barely had enough sulfur to go around for the stuff that we needed it for. I don't know, it was a bit interesting.
I mean, I think at this point, the only thing I could think of that would limit HE grenades, because there's no way that making them require sulfur would end up in any good state, right? The only way that you could possibly make those like less good, I guess, is like I was thinking that it feels like ever since the new factory system came around, it's been very rare that you'd ever be low on anything because it's so easy to get rifles and all that kind of stuff. Maybe like increasing the timers across the board to produce stuff at factories might help in general, because I don't feel like logistics has ever really struggled to give us rifles and ammo ever since that factory system, right? That's an idea. I don't know any other way to mess with the HE grenades that wouldn't end up being like a detriment to the game itself.
Yeah, now, the timers for like the important stuff, you mess with that, and I think you're gonna start hurting Logi, at least the brain power. I mean, there's some good stuff that's been, kind of beefing up Logi, but I think it's always been, a little bit 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sulfur has put a kind of a strange strain on logistics. You're excited because you have something else to do. You no longer have to do the monotonous, slap scrap all day. You have something else to go do other than building and slapping scrap. but you only do it once every 6 hours. And if you get cut off from your other sulfur, you're suddenly down to only doing it once every 6 hours for a single node or two.
I think the best thing is when you're just walking around and you look in the town hall and you're like, oh, we need mortars, we need this, we need that. I mean, you have your weapon factory like up to date, and they're just like, we need mortars now. And you're like, okay, I don't know where any sulfur is. Has anybody seen any sulfur? And everyone just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And then you look in the town hall and there's like 800, and you're like, why isn't anybody using this? Like it's such a valuable resource that like it's a problem where clans want to hoard it. But the second the clans get it, they can't stockpile it because they're constantly using it. And then the randoms just throw it into the town hall. It's like they don't know what to do with it. They don't know logistics. And it puts a damper on the whole situation because you have these people on the front constantly requesting these weapons that we can't produce because we don't know where it is.
Well, that's something I've noticed too, is there's been like sulfur in the most random places on the planet. Like you'll go up to an FOB to resupply them with something like on the front lines, and you look at it and there's 400 sulfur just sitting in there. Like, great. I know it's been an interesting strain, and it's not really it's not a game breaking strain. It's not. It's a feeling thing, you know. Do you feel like you're being effective? Do you feel like you're able to produce things? Do you feel like you're able to keep up? And sulfur has been, it's been interesting, but it's strangely been you know,
certainly slowed everything down. I mean,
yes, yeah. Well, it slowed it down. Oh, sorry, people with loud cars outside. It's been kind of a strange strain, slows things down. It keeps you on your toes, but also forces you to think of alternatives to deal with situations, which has been kind of interesting. But I guess enough about sulfur.
What? I had a few things to add before we go.
Go for it.
In regards to that for the future,
Wait
right?
for me, guys.
And we know that in the next patch, they're having the amount of sulfur you need for artillery shells. So thank God for that. Because it was, you could only make one order of artillery shells at a time because of how much materials it required. Just period. You couldn't make 2 orders. It was only one. But additionally, I think it might help to reduce the timer. Probably. I think it also wouldn't be as big of a deal on conquest maps where there's just that much more sulfur nodes to go around. You know, that would be nice. Something else though that I was thinking about, it was being talked about a little bit, like the addition of like weapons that aren't good against structures necessarily, but are good against infantry, like airburst mortars and stuff like that, not necessarily requiring sulfur. And I mean, since the tunnel networks, we've seen a lot more infantry on infantry combat without the, no one really like digs in wherever they're at with defenses anymore so much. So that's cool. It would be cool to see more stuff like that, because when a cohesive force, like that giant push of people with smoke grenades and half tracks, when a cohesive force pushes on something, they can be armed with like 10 spoons and they can take a position, right? So a way to improve the ability for people to defend themselves without like restricting the attackers even more are things like howitzers, right? Like or airburst mortars, something that can like, because everyone's like clustered together, commanders, you're like, okay, smoke's over there, this over there. Suddenly an airburst like kills 3 people in the medic because they're too clustered together. People start screaming and bleeding out all over the ground, and the attack falls apart. And
so you're saying,
what's up?
So you're saying like an alternative to sulfur?
Not even that, just like more options for cohesion breakers, because cohesion is the biggest terminator in combat generally, right?
Right.
Like if people are organized and together, if they're armed with nothing but HEs and smokes, they can take a position full of bunkers and stuff like that if they're cohesive,
Right.
It's funny now that you mentioned that. I've noticed a lot of people like avoiding frag grenades now that HEs are a thing. They'll opt into using high explosive as opposed to the frags. And I mean, I've gone to a couple outposts and I've been in combat where they're shooting over ledges and they're shooting over sandbags, and it's like, hey guys, watch this, and just throw a frag grenade over.
Yes.
And it takes out like 2 or 3 guys, or it causes them to fall back because they're not expecting it. I mean, the same thing happened with Yeah, the same thing happened with gas a while ago. I mean, it still happens now, especially when you don't have gas mass. But I mean, like frag grenades are really powerful now.
Everyone's like, oh, they got the grenades can't be used on foxholes anymore. They're just useless, man. Don't even build them. They're so worthless. They got an infantry buff basically at the end of the day. Yeah. They're better against infantry, but useless against structures now. So I mean, that's something.
They're especially really satisfying if you have like a bottleneck of like a bunch of dudes. Bridges. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown frags across a bridge, and there's like 5 guys over there. They're thinking that they're safe. You know, they got their HMG set up. They're just spraying us across the bridge. Oh, look, here's a frag. And if you cook it just right, you're going to inevitably get at least a couple kills and at least seriously injure the guys on the other side. They are by far one of the most useful things in the arsenal, and I keep them on me. I don't walk around with HEs because I'm never going to get a chance to use them effectively, you know. But give me a frag, and I can go duck behind a wall and throw them at someone, and they're not going to know what to do. They're going to run away or get scared off or something. But that's a good point. You know, they are seriously undervalued right now, and I think they'd be really good if you see a bunch of smoke, throw one into the smoke. You know?
Yeah, and if you're like me and you haven't used a frag grenade the entire time until a few days ago, since the HE grenades came out, that you can throw them a lot farther too. You can throw them all the way to the corner of your screen now. Those things are great.
I think you guys are talking about throwing frag grenades on bridges, and I think bridges are a good way to transition to the next topic, which I think we wanted to do was construction vehicles. Or something along that line. I don't know what you wanted to do, sir, but
yeah, the first thing was talked about on the Devstream last week, so that's
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the Devstream, in which you've got the construction vehicle. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing. I was excited.
I'm gonna let you finish, but you should be able to build bridges with it.
You should only be able to build bridges.
You can't build bridges with it.
No, yes. my bad. The stone bridges you should have to build, but the wooden bridges you might be able to build by hand. But the stone bridges definitely you should need to.
That would be good. Yeah. I like that. I really like that.
I really like that idea.
Makes sense.
Well, and that would force them, in order for someone to come across. You know, if you blow your bridge, you force them to come up to it with one of those CVs, and really that could slow down a push massive, because right now they just pepper you across the bridge and then they can build it. But with this thing, they got to get it up to the bridge. They got to use it. Man, I like that.
It will make it very hard to cross bridges, though. So just be aware of that before.
It would, but it would add value to the choke points. Like Endless Shore has been such a huge issue where the choke points don't really mean shit. Like it just takes time, and anyone can get by those bridges, or they flank around or something, especially when you used to have point and shoot mortars. But now you just got to get some type of range thing. You take it on the bridge, you push across, you wait for people to log off, boom, done. But with this thing, you'd have a target to shoot at. You'd be able to deny that bridge build, and that would seriously enable teams to push back across bridges, especially like places like Saltbrook. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would add more value to frag grenades too, because I mean, you'd have we're out from those little alcoves.
I like that. And freaking, especially if you leave like wooden bridges available to be built by hand, that offers a really interesting dynamic between: do we want to take the wooden bridge? Do we want to take the concrete bridge? Which bridge do we blow up? Which bridge do we try and push across? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, and especially you've got the Ninja Bridge over by like Enduring. Let's say the Warrens are pushing the main bridge. If you get a contingent across that wooden bridge, just enough to sweep around and shoot some of the people that are denying that bridge build, if you could hold the south side of the bridge long enough for you to get your CV down there and build it, that's a tactic that would be valid in that case, and actually would add more importance to those wooden bridges. I like that.
Yeah, especially if you basically have to secure both sides in order to rebuild the thing.
Yeah. It's now we got to play with the construction vehicle on the the build.
I was going to say, did we want to mention briefly the field gun that they went over, and maybe like some of the QA, or did we want to keep going to the practical stuff that we already did with the CV?
Let's stay on with the CV, yeah, because I think there's just so much to talk about the CV. I know Tiberius and I were both a little bit butthurt on the.
I mean, as like very strict Logi players, like we dabble a little bit in combat, but I mean, we spend most of our time on the back, either helping our guys with scrapping or just building defenses around towns that don't really see combat for a very long time. And it was interesting to see that when we logged on to the dev server for the first time, we built one of these, and then we were building walls, like barracks, gates, pretty much any structure that wasn't a defensive structure, AI controlled, we could build with this, and it, like, our brains just exploded.
Yeah.
It was like that end of what is it? I can't remember the name of the movie now, but it just rainbow goo all over the place.
It was so exciting. It was something new.
Yeah, because I mean, it changed it was going to change the dynamic of how we build, because we could just take one of these and not quickly, but more efficiently put our time to use building walls around town or building gates or making sure that we have proper storage for our supplies for our clan and the other clans that are fighting on our side.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, especially for a game that's the whole meta is based around being able to fortify places and, hang on by the skin of your teeth until the next morning when everyone logs on. The ability to use one of these things to roll around with your best bud and just SimCity the place sounds incredible. And I understand why they're not doing it for the first time around, because they want to, just dip their toes in the water, because it's a brand new feature. It's changing the victory conditions in a major way. So that's something. They don't want to go crazy because it could have all kinds of crazy effects that we won't even know until we get to play with it. But
I agree. Yeah,
it would be so cool. It would just be so awesome.
Well, and I had to ask Markfoot about this, right? Because immediately when they patched the thing, we both read through the patch notes, and I don't think any of us read that it was unintended. But when they repatched it up and we went back to it, and we can no longer do it, our hearts were just shattered. And we were talking, and Markfoot said that if we could find a way or that it wouldn't kill hammers or make hammers obsolete, then it's something that they're definitely consider. And immediately it's like, where do you think that you're not going to take a CV? Well, to the front line, you're still going to need to be able to put up your defenses up front, unless you know that you can protect a CV, like exponentially protect it. It's going to be hammers at the front line.
Yeah.
Even then, the 40% build speed, I don't see how that's really that much of a factor. Yes, it's nice for the outposts and stuff, but it's not something that is actually a benefit. It's just kind of like a math thing, because all you're doing is you can't hammer anymore, so you have no basis of comparison. You can't hammer up an outpost or a town hall. So
I think
really,
it's just because they don't expect you to have multiple CVs, and so in order to make the pain of having to sit there for like 5 minutes holding down the button a little bit less painful, they increase the build rate. Because if you get more than one, great, but I don't think it's expected with the fuel costs and the cumbersomeness that you'd be able to get more than one, maybe two of these in the same place at the same time to work on stuff.
Well, and actually an unintended thing was that when there's actually a bug right now where you could actually just hop out of the construction vehicle as it's pounding away, and it would just keep going permanently.
I love that.
I think that's I don't know.
It may not be a bug, but if it isn't, that's a pretty neat feature.
You think that you could just turn it on and just get out and just walk away from it? I don't think that's intentional. But it is kind of nice that you don't have to have the driver in there while you're using it. So you could solo a CV. If you're
just
patient
like you can
enough,
theoretically, solo a mortar or whatever. It's just pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's nice to have a driver, but if you get two people driving up with the CVs, you could potentially, instead of wasting two people in a single CV, you could have them both going at the same time. It's going to cost you a lot of fuel, because these things are gas guzzlers. Let me tell you, it was.
Yeah. I feel like they consume gas at the rate that a motorbike does when you're shifting.
Not quite that much, but I think it's like the normal motorbike.
Well, compared to your distance, though.
Motorcycle use more fuel than a truck, by the way. I just noticed that the other day. What the hell?
Yes, the miles per gallon isn't quite accurate unless we're considering that these things are run off of some really low octane fuel.
I think all the motorcycles just have like permanent gas leaks that was built into the design, and no one noticed 300 years later.
Yeah,
just leaking gas everywhere.
I mean, it's been kind of interesting, these EVs. I don't know. I look forward to what they have to bring. Does anyone else but me feel like these things could be like a multi-vehicle, like a multi-tool? Like, just make this into the Harvester.
I think it would be very painful if this was the Harvester because of the whole 2-man thing. I think the Harvester is going to be a 1-man deal. Hopefully. Because it looks like the cab,
It does. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the Harvester art. I don't think I have it handy, but
it looked like basically a 2-man cab, almost like one of those little tiny locomotive engines that stay in rail yards and push cars and engines around and
stuff. Yeah. The whole jackhammer thing on this thing is kind of an interesting, or pile driver. It's an interesting design. Let me tell you that for this thing.
I can't wait for all the innuendo.
Was it? Sorry, I was just replying to a message. But were we talking about using this thing as a multi-tool?
Yeah, as like a harvester.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it would fit very well with the tanks. Like if you're at the components here, I think it would fit very well there. But
I'd rather have it separate, if only because you gotta have these things at the beginning of the game. Tech 1, you certainly can't have harvesters available immediately. That would be insane. Well, they gotta have that separate.
Consider the way you have to build these, though. Maybe it's just an upgrade to this thing.
Well, additionally, I really do not. I'm not going to use a harvester. Just straight up, I'm not going to use a harvester if it's that freaking slow. I would rather walk it all in my backpack and outrun it.
It really depends on how you have to use it. Is it something that you have to drive back and forth? Is it something that it's just passive? It's really going to be depends on how it's going to operate. And I think that's something I'm probably the most excited for. Screw tanks. I don't need a tank. Give me a harvester.
Yeah, I would just assume that it would.
I know a few guys that would just sit down and
the bed, and then you drive it to the refinery, and then just treat it like a normal truck.
I mean, I would throw money at HB just to be like, yo, put the BLD logo on this thing, make it mine, and I'll sit in it all day.
I was joking that
oh my god, that would be awesome.
You could use the construction vehicle as a chariot for I don't know, Caspar. You could sit in the commander's seat, twirling it around and hammering everyone just for the hell of it, and someone slowly puttering along with it.
You could drive it off into Lightning's End,
Lightning's End. Oh, hey, Matt said that's not going to happen. I have screenshot proof.
Come on. That'd be awesome.
So yeah, field machine gun though. Let's move forward.
Yeah, one last thing with the CV. I think it would be reasonable, in the next update or two, to maybe expand in handfuls of new things the CV is allowed to build. Maybe next update allow it to build, I don't know, fortress walls. The update out of that, maybe allow it to build tunnel networks. After that, allow it to build garrisons. Just adding things in, that might be a better way to make it more
actually can already build garrisons. So physical structures in the world it can build. Those are
good. Okay.
Yeah. So
that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, so it can build garrisons, town halls, and outposts. But I don't know, just having it, just not the things that shoot back. The AI defenses. I could see where those would not be buildable. But it would be just so nice just to be able to use it, build it with it. It would give Logi so much more hopes and dreams.
Just walls and gates, that would be huge.
Yeah, just the upgrades.
Yeah, we Sarah and I, as I said before, were doing that, and it was just fun.
It felt right.
It felt really. It was we're putting up walls. We're doing good things here. It's
it's satisfying. But, satisfying as shit.
Probably looks cool as shit. That's the kind of shit that a new guy joins the game and walks down the road is like, whoa, there's a crane over there building walls. What?
Do any of you guys remember a game long time ago, the Tonka games for PC?
Are you kidding me? That's all I played when I was young.
It was so good. I mean, you had the pile drivers and stuff. You drove around in the little construction yard. That was the best thing on the planet. Come on.
So when are they making the Tonka skin for the constructor is your question.
Oh, yeah. are we allowed to do personal modifications to the game? That'd be awesome.
Steam Workshop when?
I guess. I mean,
yeah. So let's go on to the field machine gun while we have a chance.
One really quick.
Oh God.
I do have a request. As a Logi player, can we please just stay in our trucks and transfer things into the refinery? Thank you. Instead of having to like just get out of our trucks and just walk up, because it is so annoying, and I don't know how many times I've been run over by some guy who's like, my truck's more important than everybody else's. Brr.
I can't tell you how much.
And I'm like Endurix Fang when I was just in Enduring. For some reason, I don't know why, but the spawn system is broken.
I think that it would also just be nice to, because that would certainly decrease the number of trucks that are sitting in line to get to like the in-demand refineries. That'd just be nice. I think they were talking about like a while ago, like, with the docking system when it came out, we're looking at, being able to add it to other stuff. I'm sure it's just not been very high on the priority list compared to other stuff so far.
I mean, I don't know. That seems like a relatively simple thing to add for quality of life thing. I would, again, another thing, one of the things I would throw money at would be that.
I'm curious, like, at what level quality of life comes over, like, working on balance and new content. But because the game is free, like, how much can you bitch about a free game? Oh, it's not fun. Oh no.
Well, a lot of the quality of life things I think are going to have to come out after, like before release.
Like, sure, yeah.
Okay, field machine guns. Let's go. Yeah. They made some changes to how it was going to be. They originally had like a seat, so now they moved it to where you've got the driver, you've got the gunner, and the gunner has an independent.
And for transparency's sake, it's not actually a 20 mil. It's just a normal HMG. It just has 2 barrels, so it's probably going to have an increased fire rate.
I thought it was 20 mil. I thought they gave us that detail. I don't know. I got to go look. That's a good question.
I mean, like, the gun definitely looks like it.
It does. Yeah, it does. But yeah, it's supposed to be an HMG.
Yeah.
Now, I'm torn on the field machine gun as an idea, right? It's a cool idea. I just think it's going to be completely underutilized.
I am really surprised to hear you say that. Not because like that, but you're actually the second person I've heard talk about that. And I was like, what? Really? You think it won't be useful? Like, valid points and stuff. I just can't wait to have that much firepower at my fingertips, because it sounds like it's going to be the best anti-infantry weapon by far.
There's certain places where I'm going to overuse this. Callahan's Passage, when you're going through, some of those choke points, love it. But I really think it's going to be underutilized. I don't, especially seeing how little artillery we have. Granted, this thing's not going to need sulfur, but I really think it's going to be underutilized. Now, unless, again, you can get some people, to defend it and all this fun stuff. It's going to take 2 people. I mean, yes, you can drop it somewhere and give someone a firing arc, a sector of fire, and say, hey, you watch this area, and make sure no baddies comes up and HEs our stuff. But I just feel like for what it is, needing 2 people, that's such a huge expense. Whereas I can take instead of this and go get a half track, which has some armor to it, still requires 2 people, but has an HMG on it. Granted, it's not dual HMGs, but it's more versatile and just as devastating. Theoretically,
I think it's there's several places I really think it's going to be used. First of all, basically anywhere that you're sitting there with an HMG, right? You're shooting at a foxhole, enemy infantry, and you're thinking, geez, I really wish I had more bullets I was shooting at them. That's when sounds like I'm making a joke, but at the same time, like, if you're sitting there and the one HMG isn't doing the job, there's too many of them, you want to be killing these foxholes quicker, whatever the hell it is, that's when you're really going to want a field machine gun, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you're pushing into a town along a road that mostly has foxholes, which happens more often than you'd think. People just don't put up pillboxes sometimes.
Yeah.
And then whenever you're attacking like a very infantry dense position, but most importantly, I think, because like half tracks are better for attacking than defending in general. Because why would you defend a town with a half track when you could just take an HMG and sit in a garrison?
True.
At the same time, I think field machine guns, because they're not particularly mobile, are going to be incredible at defending towns. Because the only way you could really try and take this out really was with a frag grenade without using sulfur. It would be excellent at like holding down alleyways. Just if you wheel it in defensive positions around a town, you're probably not going to be able to fit it into a garrison, but gosh darn if you aren't going to try, right?
Right.
so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that even if it's not necessarily like incredibly useful, it's going to be a situation where like you might think, oh, I'd never build that, you know, I never see a need for it. But whenever you see one that the enemy has, the first thing you think is, oh shit, how can I get away from that thing's line of fire right fucking now? Because there's, I mean, I'm imagining in my head that probably going to put in a new asset for when people get vaporized by the laser beam of 50 cal shells, probably, right? That's probably high up on the priority list, right?
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up was if it is, because the chat's lighting up and they're saying, oh, it looks like it's going to be a 20 mil. If it is in fact a 20 mil, the ammo type is going to be different from an HMG. I mean, definitely it changes the dynamic of the weapon. So do you think that they would include inside the, what is it? The utility factory? What is that called? I can't remember.
The workshop?
The workshop, thank you. 20 mil shells that are required to use sulfur or explosive power to make the belts.
Unless they come with an anti-armor variant.
I mean, the only reason that sulfur exists is to require you to plan ahead and coordinate in order to take down defensive positions. Because the only thing this thing can do against defenses is pin it down, I don't think it would make sense to have it use sulfur unless it has some kind of like explosive bullet that's actually good at taking down pillboxes or something.
I don't think it's going to be that simple. I mean, you look again. If you have two people, you can take out a single foxhole is a total of 90 rounds, approximately 90 to 95 rounds with an HMG.
Range, yeah.
If this thing, supposedly it's going to have a longer range than a foxhole, right, or than an HMG, supposedly. This thing could tear down foxholes left, right, and center. You could use this offensively if they're not paying attention, which was the case down at Deeplaw during the war. This thing can be used offensively. It's got its perks. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's going to be underutilized, but it's got its perks. It's still going to be doing a lot of damage. It's not going to just be defensive and holding down stuff. It's going to be used against AI a lot more than we think. Now, if this is a 20 millimeter cannon on it, you know, this thing's going to shred light tanks. It's going to do damage to defensive structures, and it's going to do damage to half tracks. You know, it's going to make a half track think twice. Right now, a pillbox can make a half track think twice.
Have you ever seen Saving Private Ryan? Because I mean, there.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're looking at with this thing. That was their inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see this thing go up against stuff like that. It is going to have some offensive capabilities, but we already have an issue right now where there's a lot of stuff in the game that people aren't just utilizing, and I don't want to see this thing get left in the dust, really. But I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit. Or it's going to come in waves. It's going to be a roller coaster, you know?
I actually think, the more I think about it, I actually think it's going to be overutilized. Because I think randoms are going to look at a field gun and look at the half track and look at the field machine gun and look back at the half track, and they're going to see how tiny the gun is on the half track and how huge the gun is on the field machine gun and go, you know what? I think I'm going to go with the field machine gun for a while. I think we might see this thing in incredibly not useful positions, and we might see them like scattered all over the battlefield. I think that because the other thing about the sulfur for the shells, I think there are other ways that they would theoretically limit this, because I expect this to honestly be really good against half tracks. I don't think that it's going to like laser beam them down, but I think it's going to be similar to a pillbox. A smart half track is not going to sit in front of a pillbox. That's just not a smart idea. I think they're probably just going to do something along the lines of like requiring RMATs to build, and then probably have rather expensive ammunition that doesn't have a whole lot of ammunition in each magazine or box, whatever they use. That's the most reasonable thing to me. The way that they've set up Sulfur to work doesn't sound like it would be used to restrict field machine guns. Even though, it is it's not, because the idea is that it's not supposed to be directly offensive. It's supposed to support an offensive by pinning stuff down.
Right.
Whether that ends up being people just sitting there and actually eventually effectively taking out pillboxes because they just sit there for 5 minutes, and who knows.
Now, where do you think this is going to be on the tech level?
I'm expecting Tech 2 because I really don't want it to be Tech 3, so I choose to believe it's going to be Tech 2.
I mean, definitely, if they were to implement it in the game at some point in the near future, I could see them putting it in Tech 2, and then trying it out and see what happens to the meta in the game. And if it's like too aggressive, they may push it to Tier 3. But one thing that I think might happen with this is like Logi guys will start putting places in defenses for this gun. Instead of like pushing it up in the front, they just like, here's a couple sandbags out front, plop that thing down, and then boom, there you go. You got yourself a defense that can hold back a like substantial push from either a couple half tracks or a large fighting force.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the picture that you made. It reminds me a lot of like some of the stuff that I've seen people do with walls and sandbags and stuff to like funnel people into the firing arcs of like shy boxes and pillboxes and stuff. If you did something like that for a field machine gun, that sounds deadly as hell.
Yeah. But the tech level, like again, at what point do you build this instead of a half track?
That's what I was just thinking. It's what might make sense. We don't know like where this is going to end up. Maybe it'll be like Tech 3 because it turns out it's actually like super fucking deadly. Tech 1, but having it require RMATs makes sense to me. Depending on if like its first implementation isn't that impressive, it's actually a little bit underpowered. That makes sense to me. That would encourage people to use a lot more. That's
been a way that I've been. I call it the Tech 0.5. Using RMATs as a gateway into other things. Has been a way of implementing a pseudo Tech 0.5 or pushing stuff back, but there's still some type of barrier that you can't just rush it. But it's also not prohibitive. You
can also build it everywhere once you get the RMATs.
Yes. I've been thinking, though, and this has been a topic of discussion a lot recently, and that's using a more slowed down tech level, or not really tech level, a tiered tech level, right? So not just this massive leaps, because every time you in the wars right now, you have these massive leaps, these massive, 250 tech, boom, I unlock a major thing. Boom, I unlock this. I'd really, really, really like to see what would happen if you just took tech level and made it incremental and made it unlock things at a time. Start off with rifles and stuff and maybe HE, and then boom, you unlock gas grenades, or boom, you unlock gas masks. Slowly down the line, just start unlocking stuff slowly instead of these big, massive leaps. It would be one way of slowing down the game, or at least making the game feel like you're doing something useful instead of having this massive wait time to unlock something.
You remember that tech tree thing they had like last year as a concept?
Yeah,
that made sense to me. It looked like it would work really well, but here's an idea. What if, like, let's say there's a tech tree or something, right? And you had 1,000 tech you had to get to unlock a half track. Just spitballing shit. Once you pass a threshold of that first 200 tech, you can actually start building half tracks, but they cost like 10 times the RMATs. So if you're really committed, you can get an early half track. You better protect that thing because you invested like 1,000 RMATs in it. And the more that you complete up to finishing off the half track, the cheaper and cheaper it gets until it gets to its normal price at the full tech unlock.
Mm-hmm.
I think that strategy would be a large deterrent for new players to the game. I could see it working out well for people that like can supply that kind, but you got people that are like, oh, well, we don't need to put tech parts into this because at 250 we can make the half track, and so they take the tech parts somewhere else, and it's just the mob mentality just won't follow that play style.
Yeah, and that's where the linear progression helps. it
On the other hand, I've seen some tech parts put in some really dumb places before. It might just end up in the vehicle factory.
Tech parts always go to dumb places, no matter what map marker you have.
You don't have a good point, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. No matter what map markers you have up, tech parts will inevitably go into the worst possible places. Case in point, a workshop that was being teched up where an hour earlier we could have had sledgehammers, even though that an entire group of people were putting tech parts in the wrong place.
The very first war that we lost, that Pug lost, was... Yeah. I don't understand how we survived so long, because we were actually delayed a good hour into getting howitzers. We were rushing those in Sulfur, and we got up our howitzer about the same time as the other team. I don't know how that happened, because we screwed up our tech parts really bad, almost a 50-50 split. But yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for the field machine gun and how that's going to play out. I'm really curious to see it. I think it's going to be underutilized, or at least not utilized as much as we had hoped. But considering how many different things we can do on the game, it's going to be rather interesting.
Actually, if you only need one person to shoot it, that would even increase its defensive capabilities, because one guy could sit back wherever and just shoot it. But yeah, we're really going to have to wait and see when it comes to...
I'm going to go ahead and push us a little bit forward to the to the main dev blog stuff. I know we've kind of jumped around a little bit, but we've got a couple things on there, such as the new Tier 2 Foxhole, aka the gun nest. This baby can throw grenades. Yeah. I mean, this thing. It's nice to finally see an upgrade to the Foxhole. I know we've all been screaming for it. It's got a little bit more health. We did some testing, and it's about 6 HE grenades to take one down. I didn't get a chance to personally see it kill someone with a grenade, or to see what triggers it. Did you guys ever?
Apparently, they throw them really far.
Really?
Apparently,
are they? How fast are they? Do you know?
Apparently they were fast enough to make some people go, wow, they're throwing really fast. I don't know. I wasn't there. But...
yeah, these things, I mean, we get killed enough with our own foxholes and our own defenses. I'm curious to see this thing.
I don't know how many times I've been killed by a friendly throwing a gas grenade.
Yeah.
Hey guys, look what I can do. And then, yeah.
Bad nade. Yeah. I don't know. It's nice to see some way of giving your existing foxholes some beef. So some type of, okay, I've had this foxhole sitting here for the longest time. Do I want to spam shy boxes around it, or AT, or do I just want to upgrade this for really cheap? It's 25 refined materials, which really gives you a bargain for your refined materials. So let's say if you can't,
it's really cheap.
Yeah, it's just for the upgrade. It seems really worth it, especially if you have to think about, okay, do I want to spend a whole bunch of time on building something, or do I want to upgrade 2 foxholes, or actually 3 foxholes for the price of a turret or a shy box? It's an alternative, and it's going to make foxholes last a lot longer. Now, I don't know if that extra 50% health translates to everything else. Does it take, instead of the 90 rounds for the HMG to destroy a foxhole, is this thing still going to be as susceptible to an HMG and take, I don't know, 130, 140? Or is it going to be much resistant? Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a Mythbusters thing to go on the dev brand.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be a good thing to test.
That's what we like to do.
Yeah. But it is kind of interesting that these things are going to be, slightly later game, and you have to have refined materials to put into this. But it's a good alternative instead of spamming everything. Hey, instead of taking the time to build new defenses, let's upgrade these things in the meantime. Then we can think about long term.
It's just more ways to spread out your armats, because at some point in the game, it feels like you got truckloads of those things. You don't know where to put them.
Or
I find a lot of people tend to get them just for the tech parts.
I mean, even then, you could have truckloads, but a truckload doesn't go very far with bunkers. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah.
Those things are so expensive. So these are a good alternative.
2.5 bunkers.
It's Yeah, it's a bunker is 50 plus the other 50, 150, 200. You're looking at 200 to about 250 or so for a single bunker. And that's counting the wings coming off the sides of it. So a bunker does not go as far as people think. And this will be a good alternative to make your materials actually have some use to it, a little bit wider use instead of only going the occasional turret or the occasional this. Get your defenses on the front line spammed up to the gun nest and keep going. And it'll be nice to be able to keep your dude alive instead of it being 4 HMG or 2 mortar hits. It's now going to be 3 mortar hits, which gives it a little bit of survivability at least. And they shoot faster too. Holy crap!
I heard a lot of people are happy about the new being able to spawn at your hometown hall. I've seen like every new guy ever request that.
See, I'm really torn on that. It's very gamey. It's Magic, really. Right now. There's a cost to spawning, and this is free spawning.
Sir,
I think
I'm gonna just correct you here and say that magic should not be used as like a factor in this, mainly due to the fact that when you die and you don't have a spawn place or any spawn supplies available, you just randomly appear in like dots across the map.
I'm pretty sure that your spirit rises out of hell and bursts forth from the ground at a place, in the region.
Have you seen Scientology? I mean, have you heard about it?
It doesn't count as magic, all right? That's demon.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We'll drop the magic argument on this, but it gives last stands much more of a better benefit, and I do love that because I do love me a good last stand.
Does it actually take spawn supplies? I don't remember if it ever did.
Spawning at home? No.
Yeah. Really? That is.
From what I know, that's the thing is the spawning at hometown. I don't believe it's going to take spawn supplies. It's just going to be a given.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't take any spawn supplies.
And
it was funny too because I was at Enduring Post last night and I died and I came back, it spawned, and it was like 60 spawn supplies. It's like, why are there even spawn supplies here? That would be like a waste of basic materials and 8 minutes of our time.
Right. Going past it though, the instant that you take another town, you lose that freebie. You lose your freebie spawn. I think.
No, I think you can do it all game.
No,
all game really.
What happens is a town gets designated as your like hometown.
It's your starter town.
As you start fighting, you get spawn supplies into outposts, into town halls, and all of these things. And what happens is, say that town hall that's originally your hometown gets destroyed. Mm-hmm. The town farthest away from the enemy then becomes your hometown.
The enemy's hometown, I believe.
Farthest away from the enemy's hometown? I guess, yeah.
It's furthest away from the enemy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, for it to not cost anything though, I'm not sure if I like that. So you basically get to free spawn at least at a town. I guess that'll be nice instead of being like, oh, I ran out of spawn supply somewhere else up here. Why can't I spawn anywhere useful? However, the wild spawns used to be kind of a freebie. It was a way of getting somewhere faster. So you die on the front line. There's no spawn supplies up there. You could spawn somewhere, and if you're close enough, you just run there instead. But if you're going from you're the furthest away town that you own all the way to the front line, that's a huge run. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of people asking for a ride.
Just FYI, coconut sales, that is how it currently works. As of right now, you have 3 options unless you don't have a valid hometown. You always have spawn at your set spawn in the wild, or spawn at the hometown thingy.
But one of the options gets disabled after a while.
Yeah, if that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I don't actually see it affecting gameplay that much. It's really more of a quality of life thing than a gameplay thing, because here's how I see it, right? Like, either you end up wild spawning on the other side of the map, and that's a huge bitch, or you spawn back at the hometown, which might be, a little bit closer. So that's something that's not that big of a deal, though. It's still a long run. If you're on your last town, well, it's your last town hall. There's only one place you'd wild spawn in the first place. That's, but why sniping the last town hall is usually such a big part of the final push, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't actually affect that much either. And there are so many people that are just like, I don't know where I am. I wild spawn. Why am I even here? I have to run so far. It's somewhere to get started again, right?
But you're
not in the middle of nowhere.
There's two problems though. Is you get rid of the siege warfare, right? You can no longer siege the final town down to no spawn supplies in order to make them wild spawn, which was either a benefit or a curse depending on how good your guys were and how your defenses were on your front line. But if you're pushing a final town, it used to be really good to deny them from being able to get their gear because they ran out of spawn supplies. Now you lose that siege tactic. Now it's actually just a fight. On the flip side, it used to be a benefit to wild spawning. You used to wild spawn somewhere else and be able to, ambush a truck or ambush something. Or you wouldn't have to run around the front line in order to get somewhere. So let's say you want to go blow up a town hall of the enemy as a distraction, right? You can no longer easily get there. Because it used to be, okay, I wild spawn somewhere, I'm going to go find someone, kill them, take their stuff, and go, raise hell somewhere else. Now you have to get out of your place, though.
In a game sense, I don't see why that should be available to a player. I mean, because if you set up a proper defense to keep players from going through that line, why is it fair for them to just randomly spawn and be like, oh, now I'm here? It's like the enemy can't defend against that. You can't defend.
Theoretically, it doesn't work. Theoretically, it doesn't work like that anymore unless you have a really weird strung out front line. If you have this top half of the map and they have the bottom half of the map, and you wild spawn, it's going to spawn you on your side of the map generally. It's not going to spawn you way on the other side. It gets fucky on Endless Shore because the way that the lakes are and everything. Sometimes they'll spawn on the other side of the river or something. But other than that, usually it's okay.
Right. I think it's a blessing and a curse. I think it's, of course, more of a good thing, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a game changer for those final pushes, and might even drop some of those final pushes until people log off. Who knows? Which has always been an issue of people just logging off at random. Now, I'm going to push this. Well, go ahead.
Really quick, just curious. We're talking about last stand pushes in the towns.
Yeah.
If we snipe the town hall, they'd have to build the resist camp.
Yes.
Spawn there. So, I mean, for the amount of time it would take for them to get the resistance camp up, I mean, they would be wild spawning anyway.
I mean, we are making the assumption, though, that they don't have the ability of, let's say you snipe the town hall. All you got to do is waste all 20 of their, or 10 of their artillery rounds because they cost so much, and they can no longer snipe it. You know what I mean? Or just make it so hard to snipe. It only costs $350, $450 to get the thing. If you don't have a CV waiting, then yes, you need a resistance cap to build a CV. But I intend on having a CV rating just in case. I'm not going to be the guy who builds it when I need it. But the resistance camp only takes 100 scrap. It takes two guys literally 45 to 50 seconds to get 100 scrap at most. You know what I mean? Over the course of 30 seconds, you can get 86 scrap. Boom. A resistance camp is such an easy thing to build, especially because you could do it with your hammer. You get a couple people around that thing, it's going to be up instant. So that's kind of almost a moot point. Now, are you going to be able to spawn at the resistance camp on the last stand scenario? That's going to be the question.
Wild spawning might work that way because it might still count as a town hall for that because it shows out on the map. I don't know if it'll give you the new special option. That's
what I'm curious about. So Okay, so you will be able to set your spawn there, but I don't know if it'll be do anything. It will give you access to your stockpile, which is nice.
Which is that can be a pretty big deal.
The fact that it can't connect to a tunnel network is such a huge thing, because then you have you basically are timed. You have 10 minutes from the point that your town hall goes down to the point that you can get your town hall back up before your defenses are completely useless and are overrun, point blank. So the fact they don't power tunnel networks really puts an emphasis on outpost redundancy. Have an outpost somewhere to power your tunnel networks just in case. But what can you do without having tunnel networks? Nothing. It's a manpower thing. If they can push in, you no longer have your AI defenses after 10 minutes.
I was actually just like spitballing here, but what if they allowed it to only fuel tunnel networks within 2 connectors? So like two tunnel networks out, or just they have a radius that or even 1 connector. I mean, or something that would just allow you to get back to the town hall and use your AI defenses.
Mm-hmm.
Or even since it is supposed to be like an absolutely bare bones, what if it only supplied defenses within the range of the town hall, 40 meters? That's it.
Mm. That'd be an interesting thing. Would be to give it something just so you can use AI until you get a town hall up, because defenses still play such a huge part in this. I did just put up the screenshot of a resistance camp, because I know I didn't get to see it in game, and Leo was kind enough to provide this last night. But it looks good. I mean, for what it is, it looks like it's actually got some style to it. It's got some old school tents making a comeback, some campfires. It looks good. I think it's going to be hilarious to see this blueprint of a town hall suddenly become a makeshift barracks with a campsite there. I think it's going to be kind of hilarious to see that transition inside the town. But it is going to be kind of interesting to see this. I don't know how often we're going to see resistance camps, though. That's what I'm really curious to see.
You might not see it at all, but it's important that there is an opportunity that there's not that the new mechanics don't create such a situation in that there can be people trying and it doesn't matter because the game says you can't win anymore. There has to be a way out, even if that way is super convoluted and a pain in the ass.
Well, and I was thinking, the alternative to the whole resistance camp idea would be to simply make CVs buildable within a town's radius, period. Actually, here's a question. Can you build a CV at an outpost? Uh-huh. No one knows. Because that's really the only purpose for resistance camp, is to get a CV out of it.
Your mic's cutting out for me in Discord. Yeah.
Me?
So, I mean, on the stream, it's fine, but on Discord, you keep cutting out.
Interesting. I thought it was my crappy internet.
No, it's actually Sir in the Discord.
Okay, well, I hope it's coming through okay on the stream, dude.
It should be, because it's coming from me without going through Discord.
It's
coming. Okay, gotcha.
Am I still cutting out? I know we're having some technical difficulties here, guys, but am I still cutting in and out right now, or?
I think you're good. I think.
Okay.
I think you weren't on the stream at all. It was just for us. So that's why we didn't answer your question, because all I heard was CV and then blank. And then...
So the question is, again, I'll probably change the voice over coconut. The question is, can you build ACV at an outpost?
I do not believe so.
That would be the major thing. If you hear a blip, it's because we're moving the server over.
That's
Low dudes?
Your last town hall gets killed and there's no CVs left. You still have all this material lying around. You have people willing to do stuff. You can't build any more CVs. So there has to be some way out of that.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, imagine if the alternative resistance camp was the ability to build a CV, within a radius of a town, regardless of there being a town hall there. Well, that would be kind of gamey. Yeah. And now I think about that.
Because then you could just walk into the town and build it. And
yeah.
I think it makes sense. And if people are going to do outpost redundancies, more power to them. That's just a good tactic in general, before this came about. Mm-hmm. I think what's going to happen realistically if a resistance camp ever does get built is that either it'll immediately get destroyed and the game will end because they were probably on their last legs in the first place, or they'll build the resistance camp and then immediately build an outpost, as soon as they can. And then they'll just work off of there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because outposts do give you the ability of doing your tunnel network. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see resistance camps work, in unison with outposts, as far as giving yourself, a leg up. Let's see here. Let's move on to. I mean, I don't know.
Did we move voice channels yet? Or
yeah, I moved the Discord server completely.
The last thing we haven't talked about is the campaign system that they were doing experimental.
Ah, yes, and that's something I forgot to take the image of. I got
pretty light on details about how it works, but if my understanding is correct, it's basically just a way to make the wars that go on during the week have a lot more meaning and interconnect with each other, which I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, some type of actual gameplay between them instead of it just being a server and repeat. I do agree with that. It'll be nice to see that. Now I'm really curious to see this work in conjunction with World Conquest, because World Conquest feels so good. You know what I mean? It feels right, but with the there goes image up for it, but the World Conquest feels good. The campaign is basically World Conquest Light. Actually, it seems more important than World Conquest now I think about it, as far as competitiveness, because if you can keep on pushing back and forth in the campaign mode, that'd be so good.
I had a heart attack at first because I thought it was, oh God, World Conquest, no, my baby, come back to me. But it's companion, it's not a replacement. So
yes,
it's always
I love World Conquest so much. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be good. I know the campaign will be nice to see for the regular wars. It does mean that World Conquest probably won't be in repeat like I want it to. Just have it just auto go back right up after like 24 hours. But I know the campaign, important change. What
I think
else?
It would be nice to just have a continuous World Conquest going. So even if it does shut down, you just shoot it back up. And I mean, people are just gonna continue playing it.
Yeah.
I think it is a combination of server stuff and it's probably a pain as it is to update and work with balance, on this handful of servers that we have right now. It'd probably be much more of a pain to do it on an entire World Conquest server architecture thing. So, but I think that because of the way the game is going, development wise, we're not going to see the server browser go anywhere, and the campaign system is basically just a way to make that better. And so for the health of the game in between now and the final release, I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. I think one more thing that we gotta talk about in general, it's the dev branch changes. Now, I know I just put up a lot of text on the screen here, but there's a lot of small changes in the dev branch. Let's see, what do we got? The reduction in the cost of artillery for Sulfur.
Thank God.
Everyone's pretty big on that. We've got let's see, built from B menu and near a town hall for the construction vehicle, important. The spawn options. Oh, there's a change from coalition to squad. I know everyone's been saying we need squads, and instead of just, giving us squads, they lowered the requirement from warrant officer 2 to corporal for creating a squad, which is an interesting move.
I think it's a good idea, honestly.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I was sitting in a Discord channel today, and they were because a lot of them are new, of course, as of recently, and a lot of them were coordinating. Hey, we all need to give our commends to this one guy so that we can finally, all 10 of us that are working together actually have a coalition. I don't really see a problem with allowing people to make more of them. If they aren't working, they'll just go to other coalitions and conglomerate that way, and other coalitions will get abandoned, and this and that and the other. So the more the better, especially as we get so many more new players in the future. There's no reason to restrict them so heavily. I
know it's going to be hard to make the change
really
from Coley
quick,
to squad. Yes.
From Coley to squad, griefers. That's one thing I thought we were going to talk about because Fox One has experienced a lot of that over the last few days. But in respects to the squads, if you increase the amount of people that have the ability to do that, like the amount of structures being built that can be squad claimed or Coley claimed, or the trucks that are Coley claimed, are going to increase. And by lowering that standard, griefers will have a easier time locking things down. And that's my only concern about that.
Claimed anymore?
Barracks and trucks.
Which are the two two most important things for logistics nowadays. But
I mean, honestly, at this point, because it'll be so easy for people to coalition claim their own stuff, I don't think it'll be a problem of people like coming up to randoms and claiming their truck, right? And at the same time, we already deal with people leaving coalition claim trucks full of shit abandoned for hours at a time just to shoot it. And barracks are pretty weak too, so they could try. I don't think it'd work out very well if they tried to use it to troll.
Right now, there's some big issue though with people being able to walk by, see someone's not Coley claimed truck, and just hit the coalition claim button on it, lol, run away.
Don't you need like a minimum of 5 people to claim a truck?
Three. But you get 3 griefers on, or 3 alt accounts, and boom, done. Or you just get, clannies that happen to have a lot of people on that just want to Coley claim trucks as they walk by. That is an unfortunate thing, and now we're lowering that requirement to corporals. It's like a really, really, really low standard. All these trolls are going to have to do is give themselves a couple commends, and they can start Coley claiming stuff. So it is a little bit of a risk.
At the same time, so can everyone else. So I think there'll be a lot less unclaimed trucks.
But there's going to be a lot of new players or players that are playing solo that don't have a coalition. It'd be nice if people actually start playing, with the teamwork on all that. But there is an unfortunate side that a lot of people play solo. They don't get on Discord, and
that's when we get to the point where you can almost objectively say you're playing the game wrong. You need to get with other people to work together. You're stronger together than alone. We're not indirectly punishing you by not allowing you to claim a truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you should really be grouping with people anyway. It's kind of like a nudge to get your ass in gear and start working as a team.
Well, and here's the thing, Coconut in chat, is bringing up the idea, personal ownership of vehicles. That's already a thing. The whole locking and unlocking truck mechanic is a really strange mechanic, because you have to unlock it to get your own stuff out. Meanwhile, just by simply having it squad claimed, you can get in and out of it at will and get your stuff out. Locking a truck for personal use should really, in essence, Coley claim it for yourself. It should make it so you could take your stuff in and out without having to unlock it and risk it to other people.
It's interesting, actually. I remember when they made it so that coalition claiming trucks made it so that you couldn't take stuff out of the truck unless you're part of that coalition. I remember there were dozens of people actually in the Discord complaining because they used to use their trucks as distribution centers. They'd roll up with a whole bunch of weapons and ammo, and they'd say, "Hey, people, come take my stuff." And they were complaining that now they suddenly couldn't do that. So, I think it makes sense to have a way to allow people to do that, and yet at the same time not allow someone to drive off with a truck. I think that it's not an ideal system, and I think hopefully a lot of that stuff gets looked at before we go too far into vehicle mechanics and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Really, permissions levels of some sorts.
Yeah,
it'd be such a kind of weird thing to implement, and it kind of gets, I don't know, it doesn't look good, but simply having 3 tick boxes in the truck's interface of who can access access rights. You've got publicly accessible, so people can get in and out, or random people can insert or remove. You've got the coalition rights, which are can insert, take out, and all that fun stuff too. So, and maybe 1 tick box for completely locked or something, but some type of permission level might be a good way around that.
I was talking about this the other day with somebody when we rolled up and we were having issues with people taking too many grenades, too many ammunition, magazines, different things. They'd roll up and take 8 mags and walk out and be like, "Well, there goes 8 mags. They're never going to use those." Come back with the system where it only allowed you to take 1 gun, a couple grenades, and 2 magazines. What was it? It was
the requisition system. I
remember. The
requisition.
If allow it I don't know if it would be possible, but if you weren't in a truck pulling something out, like as a person, that's only the amount of thing you're allowed to pull out.
But see, that's the massive problem is the stockpile. If you can only
at this
pull out a
point,
couple things,
you can't even do that anymore. The distribution thing, because you got to use outposts and stuff. Back then was when there was like disassembled SMGs and stuff you could just have in a truck and a box.
They kind of replaced that with the time it takes to pull stuff out. And the big issue is, you're trying to do a frontline push. If you can only take out a couple grenades, what are you going to do? Do you have to die before you can take out a couple more? It's such a weird thing to happen. A requisition, system might work for like public barracks, but for like stockpiles, I think that's I don't know. It's too breaking on being able to push without having to die before you pick more stuff up. What other fun stuff? Starter town halls. They now have 200 rifles, 400 ammo, fuel, HE, and smoke grenades. Pillbox health increased 12%. Backpacks. This is kind of cool. I like this. The backpacks, when people die, they're going to have the correct faction from when they died. So you're going to be able to tell that backpack on the ground is friendly or foe. That's cool. That's going to be cool. Of course, now I'm going to have to actually, train my eyes to see that. This one I like personally. I know a lot of people hate this, but you can no longer do the glitch with the blueprints at scrapyards to block it off.
Really?
Yeah, that the build sites will no longer prevent resource nodes from spawning at a location. So what's going to happen is blueprints, they're basically going to be no clipped. So stuff will be able to clip through it, the scrap nodes.
Will players be able to clip through them?
Probably not.
I don't think so, no.
So if people start putting them down, you're gonna have to remove them before you can go through them to get the stuff. Although that'd be an interesting thing. It would be to make them clippable, but I think that'd cause some problems. I think.
How about you reduce the scrap field size because it's ridiculous that I need to walk more than 30 seconds to pick something up. Just saying.
Well, you know what they used to do? The first implementation of scrap and materials was like the old fuel refinery. There were just 4 little piles of scrap that didn't deplete, and you just sat there and whacked it all day. And I wanted to shoot myself every time because it was the most mind-numbing thing you've ever seen in your life. It's not fun to have to run everywhere to grab all your scrap, but at least it's a little bit more engaging than having them sit there.
It does break the monotony to scrapping. I do agree.
I mean, once the harvester comes out, all this stuff's going to be a moot point, right? Right?
No, they're going to increase the scrap field sizes. They're going to make the harvester monotonous.
Oh, God. I really want to see the harvester. Please, devs, just stop what you're doing. Don't give me this useless stuff. Don't give me useful stuff either. Just give me a harvester. I don't care about everyone else. Give me a harvester.
Screw tanks, man.
Screw tanks.
Farm Simulator. Scrap Simulator 2017.
Please, God.
Yes. Let's see what else we got.
I don't even want to shoot guns anymore.
No bug fixes even. Just give me the harvester like model. Just slap it in the game somewhere. Just let me look at it.
Let me taste it. Yeah. Let's see. Distance to nearest tile network is shown over the structure goes. That's cool. So you could see, the distance in meters from the closest network.
That's handy.
That's kind of good. I hope that they do that with the tunnel network. I didn't even look at that. If the tunnel network also
they did
shows
actually.
that.
Yeah, I know that for.
Okay. New call-outs. The cover me call-out. I need a ride call-out, which everyone's going to be using. Hopefully people will stop running into my truck when I'm driving down the road.
You know what's going to happen is they're going to step in front of your truck and then press F and then look very carefully for the I need a ride emote, and by the time they're done, they've already been run over because they stepped in front of a moving truck. But anyway.
Okay, I got to ask literally everyone, how often in real life do you run at moving vehicles? Please, stop doing that.
It's more like how often in video games do you run
I'm going to reference the amount of times you've talked about running at ice cream trucks.
Yes, that's the only thing in life that I'll ever chase is an ice cream truck.
Yeah, that's true.
Need reinforcements, map call out, that's a good one. Oh, I know Tiberius is in love with this. When you get team killed, it'll tell you if you're killed by a weapon or a vehicle.
That'll clear up a lot of confusion.
Y'all
with,
know I like my
Lady
team
Leanne.
kills, especially when it's people running into the back bumper of my vehicle, because clearly my back right bumper, KD, on point. Probably a 4.0 at this point.
I just wanted to
stop coating it with cyanide. I don't know why they think that has like some kind of like anti fucking rust properties on bumpers and shit, man. I don't know.
they need just a roadkill emote every time people do that. What else is there? Weapon usage is now restricted automatically if friendly fire reaches extreme levels. I am very concerned about this. Very. Because the blueprints count as friendly damage. And
I want to say, oh wait. I was going to say, I want to say it was like just team damage, not structure damage. I'm not sure if...
They're one and the same.
I don't think so.
I'll have to ask maybe one of the mods if they know, or talk to one of the devs about this afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like, how many blueprints are you destroying? Like,
a lot.
You're destroying a lot of blueprints, you're a bad builder. Just saying.
But also like, usually they're not.
With you.
They don't have a whole lot of hit points, so you know.
Well, it's a single shot for them, but you don't have to destroy very many. I'll use the example. You clear out one single scrap node with all those blueprints, and that's only like, I don't know, 10 blueprints, and you're already getting the warning for team damage in the chat.
Does that actually happen to you before?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it happens to us all the time.
Constantly. At least every day.
That is an interesting possible problem. I had not thought of.
Yeah, it's I guess for us logic people, we tend to destroy a lot of blueprints, you know, changing our mind on the way we're building stuff, or
everyone does that. It's just a really common thing.
It's just one of those things that, especially, a lot of people especially, but people building, it's one of those things where that message call out is kind of a pain in the ass.
I don't think it'll be at the same level as when you get the message for having done excessive team damage. I think
it seems to be no matter which way. I don't think it cares, really.
No, I'm saying that like when it starts automatically restricting your weapons, I think they're probably going to put that threshold above the threshold for the message that says you've done too much team damage.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to. But I'm curious what that threshold is.
In the meantime, be careful.
Yeah, it's going to happen. We're going to be, restricted for 20 minutes. I'm just going to rage into Foxhole official Discord.
Well, there's no reason to rage. Just switch off the truck driver for a while, and then
I'm
run over
complain.
3 people, and
then
then
run over people for
complain.
team damage. Yeah.
What am I going to do? Complain? Of course I'm going to complain. Come on, Duke. I'll just take you every time.
We're talking about the king of bitching here. All right, you're talking to him right now. So.
Hey, wait a minute. You're a mod. You should know this stuff. Let's see. Major bug fixes. Faction icons. Correct icon in the F1 screen. I don't know if that's a major bug fix, but let's call it that.
Rip the old faction icons.
Guys, it was game breaking. Like, I would look and I would be like, why am I seeing the old colonial emblem? I don't need to see this.
I was about to give up the game until they fixed it.
Yeah, like fucking. No, I was done with it. It's like, this is bullshit. I don't need this in my life.
Let's see. Sunken pillbox now decays, can be repaired. Fixed overly dark lighting. That's pretty big. Let's see. Known issues. That's no longer a known issue. Hometown isn't indicated on the minimap. That's no longer a known issue. The campaign prototype, of course, that's a work in progress. Past that, I mean, that's essentially the dev branch. I mean, I don't know exactly how much of this is going to make it in to the update, and if this update's going to go out, by Saturday. I know that he did announce, Markfoot announced the war on Saturday is going to be it's going to be to Deadlands. Yeah, Deadlands on Fox 4 on Saturday.
Back to the classic.
I'm really upset because I can't be there. Well, I might be there, but I don't know.
Oh, banned.
I'll probably be there. I mean,
my favorite map. I won't play it because it's so good.
Now, let's see. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? I know we've kind of talked about the most of the stuff. We've gone an hour, 25 minutes. I know some stuff that Ted Bruce wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah. The guard tower that Shifters posted.
Yeah. So
and the suggestion, if you have the picture, you want to throw that up. That's
let me.
Cool. I really like this idea.
It reminds me of an idea that I'd had for like an upgrade to the bunker, which is like
basically a super bunker, which is like something you could like go inside like a garrison and then shoot down. It's a lot bigger and stuff. So it's not like you enter it; you just walk inside it like a garrison, and it's like freaking huge.
Yeah. So
it has like machine gun turrets all over the bottom, and it's got like naked lady silhouettes all over the place. It's badass, dude.
So I've got it up right now. Yeah, it looks good. So the idea, I know we couldn't find any.
They described it underneath. Yeah, so if you look at the guard tower level 1, basically what that is just like it's like the watchtower platform that you can climb up on top of. So you enter it like a foxhole. Yeah. And then what it does is it allows you to have a line of sight over walls. Mm-hmm. And I think Shifters was going for like more of a defensive like armed structure. So it wouldn't be AI passive, but you could shoot out of it. And I was thinking that would be a little too overpowered because it's difficult to aim up in this game unless you're like shooting way behind a target. So instead of allowing you to use a weapon, you could use binos. What that would allow you to do is just look over the walls because line of sight is a huge issue nowadays. And
I had far being that
yeah. I mean, or maybe you just could look out and you didn't need binos at all. Because now that would probably increase your view distance by at least 100 meters.
I really want to see guard towers get some TLC, some extra benefit to them. You know, a lot of people have been like the constant mentions that we get in the community helpers is, can we make it determine, if it's a vehicle or not, or are there AI defenses within the range of this guard tower, shit like that. I want, I did think we had a good idea with the Sulfur node. Having it show Sulfur nodes that are mineable, just maybe with a different color icon on the Sulfur node itself within range of a guard tower. But I do think that guard towers do need some love, at least something to them. And it's a very low cost or it's not that expensive of a change. It's not that game breaking. It's not that important, but it gives a nice variety to the game.
It'd be interesting to see if they include a change to the watchtowers with a larger, like, intelligence type update.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting, or be able to show like footprints on the map would be kind of cool.
That's a neat idea.
Yeah. Let's see, what else is there? On the Sketchfab, I did want to show this. I don't know if you guys look at the Sketchfab a lot. I love it. They added the tank model relatively recently to the Sketchfab, so that's on there. You can see the whole tank model, including, the gun itself. I can't remember what the gun type it was. If it was 44 or 40 millimeter or what.
It was a 40 millimeter.
It was a 40. It's funny is the size of the gun turret on this actually looks about the same size as the gun turret that's supposed to go on the FMGs, on the field machine guns. So that's an interesting thing. Like, as far as the size goes, I don't know if it looks 40 millimeter or not. I wonder if whoever modeled this actually took the time to look at the scale of that,
to accurately measure the bore of the barrels.
yeah. I want to see if I give him too much shit about that, but
if they're gonna do that, they got to make sure the proportion of the track's length and width is correct, so that the track doesn't tear itself apart. And they got to go off accurate ballistics modeling. Come on, guys, don't be lazy. Come on.
It is kind of actually fun to get inside of the tank model itself. I can now RP being the tank guy right now. It's nice.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. Also, the construction vehicle model is up there. The apparatus, I guess I'll call it, on the construction vehicle looks really funny when you're trying to use it in game. I feel like it should have like a little bit more reach in front of you, but that's just a thing.
I like how it wiggles when you drive.
Yeah. The whole fact that the top part moves independently of the bottom is kind of cool. I will say that. That alone really shows you that the tanks themselves, just by seeing the CV in action, means the tanks are going to be actually operational in terms of turret rotation and stuff like that. It means that it's going to be relatively solid. I know that HB during the dev stream was saying that with the work they've done to half tracks, it's going to make it so much more easier to implement these different layers of moving parts on a vehicle.
I can definitely tell the parts of this vehicle that would have helped them like implement in the future all the other tank stuff. How I like, how every vehicle has had like some little bit or part or piece that adds up to a larger, more feature complete tank.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at, whoops, that's not something I want to show you guys yet. But you look at the tanks compared to this thing. You've got that D is behind the tracks. You've got the changes for the axis of turning. You've got that. You've got the moving part on the top, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I do agree. It's kind of cool to see the progression there. A couple other things I did want to mention as well. We've got the feedback on the Reddit. That's a thing. So after 0031 came out, a lot of people were up in arms about the Sulfur and all that fun stuff. There's a really, really good post that was posted by Markfoot on Reddit about the changes to Sulfur and everything. And they were looking for a lot of good feedback, and I encourage everyone to go look at this. I know we're 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks from when this was actually released, but there is a lot of good feedback on that Reddit. I didn't actually drop any on there myself because I felt like a lot of people have basically reiterated everything I was saying 1,000 times over. But Reddit's a good place to go look for some feedback. We've also got the discussions on Steam, which for those of you that don't know, the Steam Summer Sale is going on right now, and you can get Foxhole for free during the Steam Summer Sale.
Oh, shit, I need to get on.
I know, it's great. One of the things that's been kind of paining me, as far as, not even just being a community helper, but just community in general, is the variety of community locations that we have to rely on. We've got Discord, which is kind of like the main community thing that a lot of us go to. But the Foxhole, the general discussion on Steam, for instance, in the community hub, that doesn't get as much TLC, especially from us community helpers. I'm never really looking at it. I don't have it pinned or something. It's not somewhere I frequent. There's a lot of just standard stuff on here that not very many people look at. And Lurkus actually did a good post on here, and it went on to Reddit as well. Helpful info for the new players or the lazy. At that, I think Nick pinned for him. But, there's a lot of stuff out there that people aren't really willing to go look for the information unless it's given to them right in their face. The new player experience is lacking right now, but that's just going to be how it is for the development of the game. But there's such a huge variety in the community. You got people that go to Reddit more often than they go to Discord, or people that go on the Steam Community Hub that don't go onto the Discord. People are on Discord that don't go to Reddit or to the Community Hub, and that's how it's going to be really for any game. The Steam Community Hub really took over from like the game forums. Every game used to have a forum on their website. Some big titles, like everything by Blizzard, they still have a really active forum. But really, the Steam Community Hub has been kind of taking over for that. And it's been nice for some games to have it already there for them. But it's not a place I visit quite often. So it's one of those things that I'm going to start encouraging people to start, diversifying, their community, activity, because we're not going to get everyone in the same place at the same time. That's not just reasonable. But, I just want to, make sure the community knows that these are, places to look for input or to leave input. It's not just about the Discord. You've got the Reddit, which is pretty good. It looks like, I think it's some 82DK have been posting some recruitment stuff onto Reddit. They just recently broke 1,000 people subscribed to the Reddit. I know there are some people that just don't subscribe to it, but that's on there. You've got the general discussion, which you do see a lot of random people going on about. Why should I play the game if the fighting system is so random?
Oh my
what does
God,
that even mean?
No, don't even read it, please.
Like,
spare yourself. The problem was he stood up with the submachine gun and walked back and forth and tried to hit someone across the screen from him. So just the whole post, like it made my brain hurt. Like
nice.
no punctuation, no except for paragraphs, no coherent thoughts. I mean, usually when I see Steam forums, like I don't know what it is about that place. I tell people to go to the Discord just because that's like there's a lot more people on there they can talk to. It sounds like an echo chamber of like people that don't know what's going on or what.
Yeah,
like, it's always like, why are there so many people camping in foxholes and pillboxes all over the map? You guys, that's so dumb. Who does that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here. You've got the common technical problems, which is handy. I noticed a lot of people who were posting a bug report because that's like a place that I frequent a lot personally. A lot of people in the bug report in Foxhole official Discord don't really take the time to read or troubleshoot for themselves, and a lot of people don't even realize that this was on the. It wasn't even a thing, even though it's pinned in the Discord. So a lot of people don't even look at the pins in Discord. But I took the time to move that over to the wiki, which is another tool that people have yet again to go look at stuff. And it's something that I and a lot of other people have been putting in time into. That's the wiki. There's a lot of good information on there. The tutorials page on the Foxhole official Discord has some of the stuff in there as well, and it has linked to the wiki. But there's the getting started page that even Markfoot took the time to add some stuff to, and it has even the keys. I put that in there. There's just a lot of materials out there for new players that we're just going to have to take time to get these into the right hands. But that's a thing right now. Now, this is a bit of a spoiler, and I wasn't really planning on announcing this, but here in the Foxhole Community Media, we are planning on making very structured tutorial videos. I know Tiberius is like all in love with this idea. But
what are you talking about? What did you do?
Community tutorials.
This is the first time I've heard this.
What?
This is nice.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I'm just messing with you. Actually, it's something that I've been looking forward to doing with you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I do like this fun stuff.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't even something I've shown Markfoot yet, but I've kind of created this thing. Right? I bought the domain foxhole.community. Okay, step one. Step two, I put this placeholder page here that has links to everything on there. It's got it all right there.
I just want to point out that you bought a domain for a game that you play for free.
It cost me 48 cents.
It's still more than the game.
You've got a point. You've got a point.
Oh God, that's awesome.
I will give my money to Markfoot by proxy if I have to. Okay. But I mean, look at this. You got the community stream link. Look, if you click that goes to us. Our YouTube is right there. Community tutorials. Look at that graphic. Doesn't that look good? That looks so good.
Way to self-plug.
Yeah, yeah. You've got our Twitter, which is there. A link to the community hub for those that want to frequent it. The wiki, the Reddit, official Discord. Now, this page will just sit here. Now, my plan is for us community helpers. Caspar, shout out to you, finally. I know you've been waiting patiently just for that. You can rest easy now. For us community helpers, I intend on making like a backdoor area for us to get to our stuff frequently. And I know that Markfoot's exploring the idea of some other stuff for the community helpers that'll help us out big time. I don't know exactly how much I'm allowed to share about that or I'm supposed to share, but there have been some talks. But I felt like it'd be just so nice to be able to just go one place and just click on everything. And yes, it cost me 48 cents. But for the price of less than a McDonald's cheeseburger, I'm happy with it. Now it's a work in progress. It's thrown together. It's just links with hoverable, click on them, bring you place, blah blah blah. But
guys,
it's all there.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. if you're in the works for trying to figure
I
out.
don't use Squarespace. I don't use Squarespace. Squarespace. No. 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 This is actually Adobe Muse because I'm not going to be bothered to do this in HTML hand code because it doesn't require any effort. But as opposed to like a WordPress site, I just do this up there. I don't care. It just links to everything.
The shtick that we're going with the tutorial videos, by the way, is a really cool idea. Basically, we're breaking up the videos into the smallest subjects possible and then putting them into larger playlists on general topics so that when something changes within the game, we can easily splice in, out, or delete videos or whatever when stuff becomes outdated without having to redo an entire tutorial video or something like that. So theoretically, it'll be very easy to keep up to date. And you won't have to go back and look through 20 10-minute long update videos to get up to date or something like that. You can just watch the tutorial videos and know how everything works, hopefully within a few days of being accurate.
And we've got some brilliant minds,
top minds
working on this. We've got I saw Bear, who's going to be helping us with these tutorials. Markfoot has been actually kind enough to give us the resources that we need to make this happen. And we're really looking forward to this, and we're going to bring in the community as well to help make some of these, just to have some bodies to kill and whatnot. But I'm very much looking forward to making these tutorials big time. You have no idea how much I've been wanting to do this. Even the on the wiki, the getting started tutorial on there actually started as a script for tutorial. The resources section.
It's kind of funny actually. I wrote a script for the starting one, this is Foxhole, and this is how you get started. And then, sir, you directed me to this, and I was like, this is everything I just wrote. Why didn't you tell me about this sooner? I wasted 4 hours of my time writing it. It was the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean it'll be good. You've got again everything about the Foxhole community stuff is here in one spot. Again, everything about the Fox. I'm hearing myself in the stream. I just wanted to sit here and put a little heart into the chat for you guys. Thank you for sticking around for the hour and 43 minutes plus. I'm looking forward to really this community stuff in general. I know Duke Salt graduated at the top of his class for
Navy SEALs. Yeah,
became a mod. Yeah, Navy SEALs. But with him becoming a mod, that's nice. But I really want the community to start evolving and taking care of itself, and I'm hoping that we can start giving them the tools to do that all in one place. Because again, everything is so spread out. You got Steam in one place, you've got the wiki in another, you've got the tutorials, you've got all these different things all in different places, and the whole idea behind this hub is just to bring it all in one place. How much easier it is instead of saying, go here, do this, click that, read this, watch that, just foxhole.community. Done. That's the whole idea behind it. I don't even care if I have to, give the domain to Markwood. I would. But, it's just been nice to be able to just go, hey, everything's here. I've been using this on my own for the past month, by the way. Where I've had everything clickable, ready to go. Ever since I became an admin on the wiki, it's just been nice to be able to just go, okay, this is over here. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to being able to help out in a much more organized manner. Past that, I don't know. Talked about everything that we wanted to today and rambled on about more than we wanted to today.
How is that possible, considering how much stuff there was to talk about last time?
I mean, I don't know. I think there was less to talk about this time, but we've managed to ramble more than last time.
It's because we're getting comfortable with what we're doing.
Getting comfortable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm looking forward to the next dev blog and dev stream. Again, massive thank you to the devs, Mark Foote. Been a real big team player in the whole Foxhole community thing. Just PMing us random information or asking us how we're doing. That's been nice to see. All too
Shout
often
out
you
to
see.
the devs too for helping us out with Fox One the other day, because that was like
griefing.
The griefing issue was really bad, but they were very quick to jump on the situation. So it means a lot that they actually cared enough to like log on and fix the situation. So thank you for that.
I know some of us were having this chat in off topic actually about transparency and devs and stuff, and you've got development places like Daybreak Games who leave H1Z1 in the dust, which is a topic that I feel very strongly about. But you've got devs like the Factorio devs who are completely transparent about everything, even as to the point of only charging $20 for the game and permanently, right? They're not going to put it on sale for a long time until it's done. It's been refreshing. Factorio devs aren't even that they don't talk to the community that much. The forums are one thing, but they don't really reach out. They don't talk to anyone. It's been really nice having such interactive and devs who actually care about their product, their community, all that random fun stuff. So it's been good. It's been fun seeing them active. It's fun complaining at them at all times. That's one of my favorite things to do. So thank you for putting up with that. But it's been nice. This is the third podcast. And Caspar is saying to end the stream. It's been about 2 hours. I'm just going to keep on talking.
Well, I think we'll just have to keep it going if that's what he's going to say.
So,
I know, right, Caspar?
I mean, Caspar knows that I can ramble like no other. We do like hearing ourselves talk. Oh, no, I'm not hearing myself talk. I only hear these guys talk. You're hearing me talk. I like you hearing me talk.
Retroactively.
You guys stuck around for 2 hours listening to this guy talk. So, I mean, hey.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey,
whose fault is it there?
So, yes. Without further ado, I'm going to call it there. Again, thank you everyone for watching, and this will be up on YouTube within relative speed. There's been a new tradition in Foxhole Official Discord. We call it the bullshittery. We basically last week, I think it was last Friday, we got together in the Foxhole Official Discord and we just kind of talked. I know Touch My Toes is there, Caspar, a whole bunch of us were there. It was fun just to sit there and let loose. I think that's going to become a new tradition, and I think it may be a good thing to do after every stream on Thursday. Yeah. So if you are watching this right now and you want to join us in the Foxhole Official Discord, I don't know how quick there may be about 15 minutes or so. Who knows? We will be in there just probably sitting in the community helper channel and just talking and rambling, basically doing everything that we've been doing right now, but with you guys. So feel free to come join us. Caspar is looking forward to it. I know that. I am too. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.